Okay, thank you, Mr. Dahl, for that introduction. What we're going to be doing now is looking at examples of forms of equations of lines, and we want to be able to tell what is the name of the form and what's the important information that we can pull out from the formula in order to graph in a line or perhaps write an equation. So let's start with our first example. We have y equals negative 5x plus 13. So what you're going to be doing is looking at the first page of the notes to find which formula matches the best with what we see. So I want a formula that has y by itself and then has a number being multiplied by x, either adding or subtracting a constant. So let's take a look at the first page. So the only two equations that have y by itself are slope-intercept form and horizontal form, but horizontal form is no x variable. So this matches best with slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. In slope-intercept form, I need to pull out m as the slope and b as the y value of the y-intercept. So first I just wrote down that this is slope-intercept form. Now I'll write the actual equation of slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. I want to pull out m and b. So m is my number that's being multiplied by x. So m is going to be negative 5. And b is the number that's being added, the constant. So b is 13. Okay. Our second example is y plus 2 equals 3 times the quantity of x minus 5. So we have x and y on both sides of the equal sign. Let's take a look. Well, this one has parentheses, and the only form of the equation that has parentheses is point slope form. That matches. Point slope form is y minus k equals m times the quantity of x minus h. So I need to pull out m, which is my slope, and then h and k, which would make a point. So this is point slope form. Everyone say it with me. Point slope form. Good job. Point slope form is y minus k equals m times the quantity of x minus h. And I want to identify m, h, and k. So what's a little bit tricky about point slope form is that in point slope form, we have minus signs in front of the k and the h. Whoa. So what that means is that the values for h and k are actually opposite of what we see in the equation. So for h, if I see a negative 5, then h is actually going to be the opposite of that, which is positive 5. And k, if I see a positive 2, k is going to be the opposite of that, which is negative 2. So why does it happen that way? Well, if I consider x minus h, whatever number gets plugged in for h must be the opposite because that minus sign in front of it changes that value. So if h is 5, when I substitute 5 in for h, you can see that now it looks like a minus 5. Same thing if I do y minus k. Well, if I substitute negative 2 in for k, that's where I get my y plus 2 that I have in my equation. So an important takeaway here is that h and k will always be the opposite of what you see in the equation. Let's write that down. Okay, we have one more important letter to identify, and that is M. And M is our value that's being multiplied to the x minus h, so M is 3. Okay, our next example is y is equal to -1, so I have y by itself. And the only formula that has y by itself equal to a constant is horizontal form. In horizontal form, I want to be able to identify what k is. So it's y equals k. And I also want to be able to identify what is the slope. Well, if I think about horizontal form, my line is a horizontal line. And what is the slope of a horizontal line? 0. So let's write this is horizontal form. And horizontal form is y equals k. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. Is -1. Our next example is x is equal to 8. Well, I have x by itself equal to a constant, and that matches with vertical form. So what is the slope of a vertical line? A slope of a vertical line is slope, dude said it, undefined. So we want to make sure we write down that our slope is undefined and that our form is x equals h, and h is the constant. Okay, so our slope is undefined. And h is equal to 8. Okay, this last one has x and y on the same side of the equal sign. And this matches with standard form. In standard form, we want to identify what A, B, and C are. So standard form is AX plus BY, which is equal to C. So A is our number that's being multiplied to X, which would be 6. B is our number that's being multiplied to Y, which is -9. And C is what is our constant on the right side of the equation, which is 18. Okay, so we have 4 additional examples listed below. What I'd like for you to do now is pause the video and try these 4 examples on your own. Make sure that you're identifying the general form and name of the formula and pulling out all important information. When you're done, go ahead and check back in here to check your answers. Okay, welcome back. Here are your answers. So go ahead and look this over. Like Mr. Dahl said at the end of his video, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. There are 2 practice worksheets associated with this skill, and then obviously a formative assessment. Hope we get to hear from you guys this week. We miss you, and we'll check in with you soon.